It's off exit 10, presented by Capital District Sport and Fitness.
We did it.
We did it. We're in it.
How was the camp this morning?
Great.
Yeah,
I did a lot of evaluation today, so I just sat back and Hometown did the work.
Hometown was out there coaching it up yesterday.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
So were you moving around?
Yeah.
I know you had the Achilles last year, and I saw you sprinting down.
Oh, it was brutal, man.
Did you have injuries in your career, or was that your biggest one that you've ever had?
That was biggest. I've had sports hernia surgery, and then I cracked my kneecap in a collision. But that was it.
Painful.
Yeah, it was painful. Yeah. But it's funny, like, the first doctor is like, oh, yeah, your ACL's gone. So I'm, like, limp on the plane from a game, and then I go to my home doctor, and he's like, no, your ACL's fine. I was like, oh, okay. Like, my leg instantly felt better. Yeah. I was like, oh, I can bend it.
Yeah, there's a big psychological part to injuries.
Totally.
Maybe bigger than the physical.
Yeah, I agree.
We see that with kids in here all the time, whether it's ACLs with field sport athletes or Tommy Johns and shoulders with baseball players. But it's almost coaching them through the mental portion of it.
Right.
It's like more important. Your body's going to heal. Yeah, I know it was post your career. Did you mentally struggle with the Achilles, or were you okay with it?
I was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Paul.
If I wanted to come back, to something, I'm sure I would have had more concern.
Right.
But
Yeah, I mean, it was the fastest I've ever had, like a switch flip in my head that go, all right, I got to do it. And, like, there were times it sucked, but, like,
yeah,
it's because I couldn't drive, too. That was part of it.
Right,
like,
right.
I literally
Yeah.
couldn't drive anywhere for 3 months almost.
Yeah.
But I
That's
think
hard.
if you play sports hard, which you did, and we did on a smaller scale, like, things are going to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
This is athletics.
It's going to bust.
Yeah, this is one of the things I saw you with the kids yesterday. I think the first moment I saw you stop to coach was when kids they'd make bad passes or not have the right footwork, but when their intent wasn't there.
Right.
When the intensity wasn't there, when the effort wasn't there.
Right.
That's when you had to stop.
Yeah. It's like, what are we doing here?
And break them down and intervene.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Is that hard for you when you see kids not giving high intent, given all the effort you put in?
I think that's probably, like, my biggest message is letting them know that that's the difference maker. They can go through the motions with everybody else, or they can make a difference in their daily routine.
Right.
Well,
kids today, they're growing up in a different world than where you grew up and where all of us grew up in.
Yeah.
We grew up in the backyard.
Yep. Exactly.
That's where we played, and that's where we worked on getting better.
Right.
Because the backyard was big for you in your childhood.
Yeah, huge. Fantasized and replicated moves. And, like, I would be other athletes.
Yeah, all the time. I'd be
Like-
in the backyard playing wiffle ball, and I was Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, you were him.
Derek Jeter, and
Yep. Yeah.
any baseball player you could think of.
Right. I don't know if kids feel that way anymore, but I used to be them.
Or I'd be playing a make-believe basketball game against myself, and I'd be every player on the court. And then I'd be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'd miss. I'd be like, hold on, there was a foul.
Yeah.
Foul.
But yeah, I mean, you would make stuff up with your brothers?
Yeah.
Was that, what was your first exposure to lacrosse? Was it there in the yard?
Yeah. So it was our gym teacher brought in a stick, and that's how we were exposed to the game. And then we talked about lacrosse and how it started and all that. And that's, then we learned a little bit and flipped up a picnic table, used it as our goal. And my dad's fishing net came out for the goalie stick, and we just started playing.
Dude, that's awesome.
But you're playing in the yard. Is in your head ever, oh, this is going to get me into college. This is going to carry me further than college? Or are you just playing because you're playing?
Yeah, we were just playing to play, and that was the cool thing. Each day was the new Super Bowl or the new World Series or the new national championship. So we had this mentality. We never played the sport to get a scholarship. We definitely wanted to go to Syracuse to be them. They inspired us, but we just played to compete, and each day would end with a fight or overtime victory or a, crying match with my brothers and neighbors. But yeah, that's where it all went down.
Yeah, there's something to that. There's something to like the athletic development of somebody and having that be a key piece.
Totally.
Because you're in the world of youth sports now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what you're doing with camps
Yeah.
and clinics. How do you try to emulate? Because do you feel like that world's dead, the playing in the yard all summer with your friends as a young kid?
I don't know if it's dead, but it's not what I think it should be, and that's why we try to bring camps and modified versions of the game like speed lacrosse back into play, because that's what did it for me.
Yeah,
having those
talk,
opportunities.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit, because I guess that's a big piece of how you try to bring the backyard game to a more, because sports are more structured now, and there's more adult intervention, which that's just where the world is. Like I used to think that maybe one day it will go back to you're just gonna play in the backyard, but I think the industry's become so much.
So COVID could have helped with that, but we weren't ready for it.
Right.
Yeah, could have.
That would have been a good jump.
That would have been the time.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the organized stuff.
Right.
And
Yeah, why didn't it go back to that then?
I don't know, maybe because you couldn't really play with your friend either.
Yeah, good point. That was discouraged.
it was discouraged, Go play. You got to be in your yard, and he's got to be in his yard. But you guys can throw the ball over the road.
Yeah, what a shame though, because then that just pushed kids to more screen time,
Yeah.
isolation.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So speed lacrosse, talk about that, because we've had basketball skill coaches on in the past who preach 3-on-3 small-sided games, no refereeing. Speed lacrosse is like a similar version for your sport.
Yeah, when I retired, I made a kind of a reflection of, why was I successful? Why did I love the sport so much? Why did I, play the way I played? Why did my brothers be successful? And it all reverted back to the backyard, my times back there, and the amount of effort, the amount of reps, the amount of fantasy, the lack of parental structure was massive. So even in speed lacrosse, we don't allow coaching. A lot of times you'll hear coaches in games, regular lacrosse, and shoot that overhand. You can't shoot underhand, and we take that out. Like that deters a kid from being creative, although it may be good coaching. But it takes away the kid's freedom to express himself in a different way. And that's why I like speed lacrosse, is it encourages kids to be themselves, try new things. And then, when I play, I do a lot of trick shots and stuff like that, but I never do something in a game that I don't feel confident I can do in practice and that I haven't done 100 times. So I shoot and pass behind my back all the time, but I don't do it left-handed because I can't. So you'll never see me do that in a game. So I try things out, and if they work out, then I implement them into my game. But that's, my backyard was always my laboratory.
Yeah. I mean, like he said, we've had basketball, coaches on and stuff like that. It's creating that unorganized play within organized play. I think that's where everything's going, is these coaches and skills coaches and everything have to create that unorganized play within the organized play, because they're not going to get it as much outside of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we brought up earlier the backyard.
Hometown on the mic.
Hometown on the mic.
I had to, jump in here. You brought up earlier the backyard of being your hero or whatever, and there was no ceiling there.
No.
Because no one was there to say you're not doing good enough or you're great. There's no ceiling, so it was just your imagination.
I was the best player.
And, it's easy to get a youth athlete into a small box to do something if you're right over and micromanaging.
Right.
But it's hard to break out of that box once they're in there.
Yeah.
We work these camps, and Powell Lacrosse definitely promotes creativity, but a lot of other coaches, including school coaches, they want a system. And they almost hinder an athlete that has that creative mind.
Yeah, Rob, they do all the way. We see it in here, and it's a shame. I mean, you've been all over the country. I worked in Boston for a while before I moved back here. And in the suburbs of Boston, as with probably every bigger populated area, the politics in sports were crazy. This is my kid. We're going to do things my way. I don't want them to go to external people. They micromanage how they practice, the type of style that they play in. And, yeah, that hinders the kid. That promotes burnout.
Yeah, and, the Casey's success came a lot to his hard work, but it's also his creativity. And luckily he had a great coach at Syracuse, Coach Simmons, that said, I have horses and thoroughbreds. I'm going to let them run. Let them play. And he found success with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I've been watching the Netflix documentary Quarterback with like Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins. And, when you see a guy like Patrick Mahomes playing, obviously he's the best in the business, but like a lot of the crazy things he does is because he's allowed to be creative within practice. Yeah. And then if it works in practice and he can do it, then he does it in the game. Like I've seen highlights recently of him throwing a behind the back pass. Yeah. And I'm like, I guarantee you he's going to practice that enough to where that's going to happen in an NFL game.
I hope it gets picked off.
Yeah, well.
Or like,
Bills. Steph Curry's the same way.
You're a Bills guy over there?
Sorry.
Josh Allen, same thing, though. He's doing crazy things, and it's like they're not going to do those without,
right.
But if some free will.
Yeah, exactly. It's been green light.
You've always been a Bills fan. You're from Western New York. So you've ridden through some tough years.
Yeah, you've had some tough years.
Well, yeah, I've had some tough years, but this is our year, so I'm really excited about it,
Rob, we say that every year with the Jets. We're like, maybe.
No, but really, this is the year.
It's the only year they might have.
It's the only year.
But Coach Simmons at Syracuse played a huge part in your career.
Yeah, he when I first started going to watch Syracuse games, he was almost like a fictional character out there, hair blowing. Even though there's no wind in the dome, his hair would be floating, and he just had this cool look to him, artsy almost, and almost like a wizard. And he had the most amazing team, and he had just this swagger. And I just, kind of became a hero without even knowing him. And then I had the chance to meet him and get to know him. And one of the, a few of the things that he taught us was a Bible verse. He's not very religious, but he always wrote this on the board, 1:18:24. It means, today is the day the Lord giveth, rejoice and be glad in it. And it kind of was the same mentality of my backyard, is today's the day. It's not what happened yesterday, it's not tomorrow, it's about right now. And enjoying that and embracing that and giving your all to that. So I've been able to, utilize that from a lacrosse standpoint and also in my life, enjoying the moment. He also wrote HHH on the board, head, heart, hustle, and that's how he kind of broke down the game. Is you need to have all in sync and in synergy to maximize your abilities, having the right mind and playing freely. Your heart, your passion, and obviously you have to hustle to match those things up. So. Yeah, he was. He's incredible. Just turned 87, I believe. Still rocking and rolling, but he's didn't ever teach me anything about lacrosse. Everything was all about life and the lessons of the game. Taking the lessons of the game and implementing them into my lifestyle. So we would go. One story. Every time you go to the Final Four, you get a police escort. So that was really cool. I went to 4 Final Fours. My brothers all went to 4.
Because both of your brothers went to. You have how many brothers?
I have 3 brothers, but 2 of them went to Syracuse. Two of the younger ones. So we got on the bus my freshman year, and back then it was cassette tapes. Threw in a cassette rap. I think it was Dr. Dre or Snoop Dogg or Ice Cube.
All good choices.
Yeah, good choices.
Little murder was the case,
Well, we cranked it up, and Coach Simmons gets on the bus. He's the last one on, and turns the music off, puts another cassette in, and classical music starts playing. So we got a 15-minute police escort. We're all kind of looking around, listening to classical. We're like, what the hell? Well, he gets off, and he turns the music off. When we pull into the stadium, he's like, anybody know who that is? We're like, no. He's like, that's Mozart. He's the best at what he did. You guys go be the best at what you do. We're like, what? But everything was kind of, he took real life stuff and implemented it to enhance our game and our view of things. So he had an artistic view, and that was important to him, and it's become important to us.
Yeah, I feel like that's lost in a lot of coaches now, whether it's just because of like the micromanaging of everything with an athlete and how they play and their skills. It's just like teaching them about life. I mean, these are young kids. Mm-hmm. You're in a position to be very influential.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Casey touched on how Coach Simmons, he emulated him in his style and the way he lived, but I think coaches now, they can't show that to athletes. If you're different or out of the box, or if you like a certain thing, you're not allowed to show. Not that you're allowed, but you just stick in the box. You're a coach. You should form to everybody. But what Casey's saying is he had a great relationship with his coach because of his style.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you're almost not allowed, or it's frowned upon to show your true self to your athletes.
Because what? It's discouraged by parents, or athletes won't be receptive?
I think parents. I think they want this out of the box coach. Well, I say out of the box, out of the package coach, and don't go left or right because I'm paying you for my kid, and you have to be that for all of them.
Yeah, you know what? I actually had a parent this week say that they were going to reach out sooner to train here, but they were afraid that it was too social in here. Like kids were having too much fun.
God
They were
forbid.
talking to their friends too much. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. I mean, when it comes to working out, I'm sure with building your lacrosse skills in your game, you need to be consistent. And if you're not enjoying it, you're probably not going to be consistent. But I guess that goes to show.
Well, what's the point if you're not enjoying it?
Yeah,
Right.
that's the number one thing I say to every kid in here. I was like, make sure you're having fun.
Yeah.
Like if you're not having fun, like I tell them, like, why did you start playing the sport? And they're always like, because it was fun. I was like, so keep playing it for that reason.
Yeah.
Everything else will fall into place.
Yep.
You know, if you work hard and you have fun, more times than not, things will line up in the end.
Yeah. I thought of Phil Jackson when you're talking about Coach Simmons. I feel like kind of
Yeah, I can get that vibe based off of how you were talking about him.
yeah,
Very zen,
looking at the person as a whole. Yeah.
the Zen master himself.
Yeah, he my sophomore year I was a preseason player of the year, and I came out on the cover of Lacrosse magazine, which was a big deal back then, and he called me into his office, and I came down from campus on my answering machine and saw he had a message, and went to his office, and he threw the magazine across the table at me and goes, "From shiny rays of sunshine come tiny blades of grass. Today a college hero, tomorrow a horse's ass." He's like, "Enjoy it while you can." I was like, "Thanks."
Like, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
So get out of
Thanks
here.
for the motivation. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, lacrosse is when you grew up, big in Western New York. Like, it was a popular sport. Like, a lot of kids played it.
Well, not in my town, and I'm western of here, but I wouldn't consider western. I call it North Country. A little tougher.
What do we consider Western? I feel like
Buffalo, Rochester.
Buffalo and
Yeah,
Rochester.
Rochester's on the fence.
Okay.
Where were
A
you?
little
Where'd
bit.
you grow up?
Carthage, near
Okay.
Watertown, New York. So
Okay.
about 90 miles north of Syracuse. So I was in fifth grade, and we had a gym teacher. His name was Mr. March. He was in his 70s. My brother Ryan was in third. My brother Mike was in kindergarten, and every single day we played dodgeball every day. So we'd go to gym class. We knew we were playing dodgeball. It was
Could you beat Rob in dodgeball? You
No,
think?
Come on.
no, Captain America? No way, no chance.
Steve Rogers over there?
But that we showed up my first week of fifth grade, and Mr. March had retired, and this hotshot not lacrosse coach, gym teacher came in, typical, muscles, could bench 400 pounds, had the short shorts, the high socks, and his name was Kirk Ventiquattro, and we fell in love with Coach Fee right away. Whether we're playing wiffle ball, it felt like we were in the World Series, or he was the all-time quarterback. He'd send us on routes, and felt like you're Jerry Rice, and then he's the one that told us about lacrosse, and told us Native Americans invented the sport, and it's a combination of all sports into one, and we kept talking about it at the dinner table, and then my dad a couple weeks later. The closest lacrosse was Watertown, which is like 20 miles away, but we had never heard of it at the time. And my dad sold one of his shotguns. He's a big hunter, and went down to Syracuse and bought a couple lacrosse sticks, and then brought them back. And we were the first in our town to have sticks. And then we lived in the house right next to the elementary school, so we had a huge brick wall. Played wall ball, then started to play in the backyard. Like I said, flipped up the picnic table, and then 2 weeks later, the Kaufman brothers from 2 blocks away showed up with sticks, and Mark Metcalf, then Pat Gagnon, then Joe Selesky, then Casey Clements, and it just kept growing and building. And then Coach Ventiquattro saw that all the athletes, he was going to be the varsity baseball coach. He saw all the athletes were playing lacrosse, so he investigated a little bit of lacrosse, came down, heard about West Genesee, which is a top state contender in Syracuse. He basically hid in the bushes and covered wrote down their practice plan. And so we had this unconventional backyard style. We had some Syracuse inspiration, but we had this rigid kind of practice plan through Coach Vinaquatro. So it was kind of the perfect formula. And then nobody in our town knew anything about the game. My parents never commented on a game, good or bad or indifferent. I always tell the story. My dad, he would go to all the games, but he would never say anything. And my senior year, I got in the car and my legs were cramping, so I sat in the back middle seat and put my legs up through the center console. And my two brothers were on the sides, and I tapped my dad with my foot on his shoulder. I go, "Dad, how did I do?" He goes, "Not bad." I go, "Dad, I just broke the all-time national high school scoring record." And he doesn't look back, and 2 miles later pulls into Carvel Ice Cream and goes, "Get whatever you want." I was like, "Yes." Dad's pumped. He's proud of me. But that was all my dad ever had to see. He didn't have anything to say. And for me, lacrosse has always been my thing. My parents let it be my thing. They never pushed me to take it anywhere that I didn't want to go, and that's what I try to do as a father.
Because you have a daughter who, she's still in high school, or
senior.
There's a difference. We talked yesterday. We just had our first kid in February, a daughter. So
February 3rd.
February 18th. Yeah, good memory. But yeah, you think about, and I've been in this field for 11, 12 years. You've been around lacrosse all your life. But you see different parenting styles. And to me, you see parents who, they push their kids, and you see parents who support their kids. And just how the kids then interact with their sport and training and what they do based on that. I mean, you must see that with parents at kids at your camps in terms of, do you know what I mean? In terms of pushing them versus just showing them support and being there.
Yeah. It's tough, as a father. I would say that my daughter doesn't have the obsessive passion that I had for training and for competition. She likes the sport. She likes the community, but you're always pushing. You're trying to push them to reach their full potential and guide them to reach their full potential. And but there's a point when you got to let it be their thing, and that's what I've tried to do. So I encourage my daughter. I'm close with Hometown, and he does kind of the same thing. He gives his kids every opportunity possible, and it's really their job to take it from there. So we're kind of putting them up on the stage of what we think is important and can be successful, but it's got to be the player that eventually does it. Or I see a lot of burnout when the parents are pushing, and I do clinics all the time, and I'll see the pushy parents come charging for me. I'm like, oh God. Here they come, talking about their kid and trying to break down and over-evaluate every little thing. I'm like, no, it's part of the game.
Right.
Yeah, he lost. He was not good today. And, if he comes back tomorrow and works harder, then that's a lesson that, he can take with him. So
why do you think parents end up with that personality, or they're like that with their kid's sport? In terms of overbearing, pushing the kids towards something they don't want to do? Is it fear? Is it an ego?
I don't know. I think they want the best for them, and I think they see there's opportunity, out there to get into good schools and, be around good teams and things like that. So I think that's what's kind of motivating the parents to, and you can't really blame them, but there's a way to do it. I think we're all trying to figure it out as parents, and you're going to have to figure it out from what you've learned and processed, throughout to kind of create your own style and whatever works best for your family. So I think everybody's trying. I think everybody has good intentions, but some parents go way overboard.
Yeah, and you hope the motivation is for them to provide for them and to motivate them, but sometimes you can't help but think, oh, if I had this training when I was a kid, if my dad did for me what I'm doing for you, I'd be this or I'd be that. And you get that feeling a lot of times when Casey talks about parents coming to the coaches after a clinic. If they were welcome enough for any kind of feedback and take it, I'd welcome them to come up. But sometimes you see dads who they're going to hear what they're going to hear, and they want to hear a certain thing.
Right.
Oh, he's getting there. Well, what's that supposed to mean? What else do I have to do? You hope that the motivation is for the kids, and they're providing opportunities, but that's not everybody.
No, but do you think a lot of that stems from the college process now and the scholarship process now? How much are you involved with that now, Casey, in terms of seeing graduating high school seniors go through the recruiting process and then enter into college?
Well, I think one of the main reasons I do what I do and continue to stick around the game and being so heavily involved in the game is I want to try to give players an opportunity to experience some of the things that I have. I feel very passionate and fortunate that the sport has come across my life and changed my entire family's life, and for the better. And my goal as a lacrosse ambassador is to try to pass that on. So I have a big network of lacrosse. I know almost all the college coaches. And I make introductions all the time with players that I deem are worthy. So it's always the coach's decision to take who he wants to take, and it's very limited in the amount of spots that they can offer. But I make a lot of introductions for the kids that I train with.
Yeah, because lacrosse, Paul, do you know this number? How many full scholarships can a lacrosse team give D1?
I think it's less than 15, I believe. I actually
It is, yeah.
I have it somewhere.
Yeah.
While I look that up, I can find
12.6.
it. Is it 12.6 exactly?
Yeah.
So I was getting it mixed up with baseball and softball.
Yep.
Because they're around the same.
Yeah.
Like they're all like anywhere in that like 11 to like 13 range.
How does that compare with other traditional sports?
Football gets 85.
Wow.
Basketball gets 15 because they get one for every player. So like lacrosse, baseball, soccer, they can't provide full scholarships through athletics. They can make up the money in other ways.
Right.
So those 12.6, you said, right? Those 12.6 scholarships will usually be like divided up amongst the team. Now, you know, somebody they really want, they might give like 80% to. And now you're going from 12.6 to 11.8 scholarships to divide amongst however many kids are on the team.
40 more guys, 40 some.
And that's the tough thing with baseball and lacrosse and other sports like that, whereas like football gets 85, and that's still not even their whole team.
But is that because of the revenue that they generate through
it's because of the
television
revenue
and games?
and how many players are on the team. Like there's over 100 guys on a Division I college football team. You know, so it's a combination of that and the fact that football generates the most money for every school.
Right. Well, now you have like NIL too. Are you involved with that at all?
Yeah, I mean, through our company, we've been sponsoring athletes. We're trying to figure it all out. I'm not a huge fan of it, just the unregulated, kind of Wild West it seems to be right now.
Because why? Some just institutions have way more money to throw at kids than others?
Yeah, I think there's different ways. And, I'm not for or against it. I just think there needs to be a better process. I think if I was in college, I'd try to take full advantage of it.
Right.
Absolutely.
For sure. And as a company owner, in the lacrosse, we're going to utilize it to our advantage if we can. If we can find the right people. So I think there's some positives to it, but it's kind of a gong show out there.
It's a wild, wild west, like you said.
Yeah.
Casey, what do you think if NIL existed when you played, and like you said, you're going to take full advantage of it, and a player of your pizzazz and swagger would draw some attention? What do you think that your teammates and coach would think about your off-field attention? How would that affect the team?
Yeah, like that's a great point. You get on the bus and, as a team, you want to be as one, but those NILs seem to, individualize, who you are and what you are. So, even when I played some summer ball up in Canada, I was one of the few guys on the team that would get paid, and I'd walk into the locker room and everybody would kind of have a sour look on their face. I knew I was a hired gun up there, and, and they were playing this just as hard as I was, but, yeah, definitely. That's a great point.
And, it could even go further of like a sponsorship deal would be, all right, if you average 2 goals a game, we're going to provide you with sticks and pay you. Now, you're open. I have a look. You have a better look. I need my goals. That's going to affect the game. It's going to affect the strategy. It's going to affect a lot.
Yeah, that's a good
It's a slippery
point.
slope.
Yeah.
You see it even in kids who, no, I need to score. I need to score. They're not making the better pass. But if there's motivation behind it as far as through goods, services, and money,
Yeah.
that's going to go through their heads.
Well, and that's when the coaching comes down to it, and like talking to them about playing the game still the right way. And it's hard, but when I think of like some of the best athletes in the world, the reason they got there was because they played the game the right way. Like they didn't, try to score that extra point when this guy was wide open to get that goal.
Right.
You know?
I think specifically, and I'm a little biased because I love the sport, but lacrosse has that the origin roots.
Yeah.
It's deeper than a lot of other sports. So
That-
you would think that the pride to play the game would
be
beyond all that, but the world's changing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's a really cool piece about lacrosse, Casey, that I love. And when we grew up, we went to a very small high school in Chatham, so a little bit south of Albany, and no schools around us had lacrosse.
Our school's the size of this gym.
Yeah, and we didn't get exposed to lacrosse really till we opened the gym and started getting kids in here and met Rob and met other kids. And,
Better late than never.
Yep.
And now we love watching the sport and training these kids and learning about the game. I feel like there's no other sports, at least in America, where the history of the sport is so important to the people that play it. Like, I played baseball my whole life. I know there's Cooperstown, but I don't know much about the origins of the game. Paul, do you know where American football started?
In America.
Maybe
I started in Ohio.
Canton, right?
Canton.
But lacrosse, I feel like people respect the history
Mike,
of the.
I have
of
a
the
very
game.
important question for you. If you don't know, it's going to be really upset.
Oh, shit.
Where did basketball start?
Springfield.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. There we go.
I had to make sure.
Good. Yeah. So when did your gym teacher taught you about the history of the game?
Yeah, a little bit, and it's still the history of it is very intriguing and very cool.
Was it the first sport in North America?
Yeah. So, they used it for a few different reasons. Number one is to entertain the creator. So they would play it to uplift and to heal if there was a sickness, whether physically or psychologically, mentally. They would get up and play a game to bring the people back to par and to good feelings, and they would play to express themselves and to pay respect for their creator is what they call them. They used it to prepare for war, called Bagataway, which means little brother of war. That's one of the names. I think that's a really cool piece of it. And then apparently they had their stick was a kind of a circle and it had a rawhide cross, and a French missionary came over and saw that and called it. That's how it started becoming lacrosse through that. But I'm still learning the history of the game, ongoing. I love it. I think it's fascinating for our sport, and I think that it's coming back into play more than it ever has before. I think we're starting to really understand how special and unique and amazing it is to have that unique history invented by the Native Americans, and now here it is. We're able to play it where they first originally started playing it, right here in upstate New York, which is pretty amazing.
This episode of Off Exit 10 is brought to you by Anchor and the all-new Anchor Pro, crafted to endure the most high-performance workouts without the high cost and space requirements of a standard cable machine. Named the best portable cable machine by Men's Health Home Gym Awards, Anchor provides the full functionality of a cable machine in one small space-saving unit. Designed with user-friendliness in mind, Anchor can simply be attached to any squat rack or placed on any wall in your home gym using its intuitive sliding track mount. With up to 65 pounds of resistance, Anchor is built for high speed and controlled exercises alike, from cable presses and rows to chops and lifts. The Anchor has been a game changer for us here at CDSF, and now you can enjoy the same professional quality cable machine in your own home gym by heading over to anchortraining.com and using code CDSF10 for 10% off your order today. Get all the benefits of a cable machine without the high cost and installation fees. Enjoy the portable luxury and space-saving performance of Anchor today by going to anchortraining.com and using code CDSF10 at checkout. That's anchortraining.com, promo code CDSF10 for 10% off your order today. The supplement industry is like the Wild West. The lack of regulations mean the supplements you purchase may not even contain the ingredients listed on the label, which is why I get my daily vitamins and supplements from Thorne. Thorne vitamins and supplements are made without compromise. Quality ingredients ensure your body optimally absorbs and digests your daily supplements, while in-house and third-party testing ensure you're getting exactly what you paid for. Thorne offers a variety of health tests reviewed by board-certified physicians that evaluate your lifestyle, gut health, sleep, stress hormones, and metabolic markers to determine which vitamins and supplements may be most effective in helping you feel and perform better throughout the day. For college and professional athletes, Thorne has NSF-certified supplements that make sure you won't get pop positive on a drug test. Whether you're an athlete, professional, parent, grandparent, or weekend warrior, Thorne's selection of high-quality supplements can help improve your quality of life. Switch to Thorne's high-quality and extensively tested supplements today at thorne.com/u/CDSF. That's thorne.com/u/CDSF. And then even I read recently, or Rob and I were talking about, because I saw on Facebook maybe a link of just people that make sticks and how like revered they are. Alfie Jacks, right? I read about and Rob and I talked about. He was a guy who made sticks the original way.
Yeah, so he's the most famous stick maker of all time, the stick maker of the Haudenosaunee, the Turtle Clan, Onondaga Nation, and his sticks are all over the place. I read his obituary a lot as a reminder of the impact that you can make as a lacrosse ambassador. But it's pretty amazing what he's done, and even in the obituary, his sticks are hung in all these beautiful places. But if you would ask him, he'd say, I'd rather you take that stick down off the wall and have a catch with somebody and toss the ball around. That's when the real magic happens. So, he's. My brother Mike wrote an incredible article on him. My brother Mike called him, one of the most important people in lacrosse because of the tie to it. He calls our plastic lacrosse sticks Tupperware, which is kind of funny. But he had an amazing legacy. He would talk about the game, whether you were 5 years old or 75 years old. He would break the game down and talk about the history of it and how the sticks. I think the sticks take like 9 months to create, so it's a big process. And now there's a new not a new stick maker, but Jack Johnson is a great stick maker up near Messina, Akwesasne area. So, but Alfie Jack made a huge impact on the game and will continue to do so.
Casey, I appreciate what you do when you coach 12U, 10U, 14U teams, and you always bring it back to the roots. And you talk about Alfie, and I remember we had one of his sticks on the sideline with us coaching, and I think it's incredible for the youth to see that, and what a sport where you're teaching about the history of it, the origins of it, and that's the medicine game. We look at sports for fun, enjoyment, physical outlet, but to heal is incredible. Go do something that you love, and it can also heal you. And you talk about modern sports now, and mental health is huge. There's times where it's how great would that be to you know what, I need to go have a catch. I need to hit the wall. Hey, grab your stick. Let's have a throw. And it's healing. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's that's a great point. Life is tough. We all understand that. There's ups and downs, and I've always been able to revert back to the game. The game is my safe haven and my place to go for healing and feeling better, and for the original intentions to uplift and to heal. And that's why the game's always been there for me. And every time I have a stick in my hand, I go back on a lacrosse field. That feels great to be there.
You know what you did last year, too, at the camp when we worked at, before all the kids played, and I love this, you said, hey, we're going to dedicate playing today towards, I think you said somebody who was sick or maybe just passed away. You do that often with kids?
Yeah, we do. So I have a foundation called the World Lacrosse Foundation, and we support injured and ill lacrosse players. And right now we're probably supporting 6 to 8 players around the country, mostly spinal cord injuries and cancer. And these families are kind of going through something unexpected, turbulent, and unsure of what lies ahead. But it's a complete game changer for the entire family. So our foundation tries to step in and help support those players and those families, and in any way that we can, even if it's encouragement or hospital visits and stuff like that. But we always take the time to give back, and there's a kid named Max right now who's down at the Shepherd Center in Atlanta, Georgia, fell off a roof, had an accident, and he's a 16-year-old lacrosse player, and now he's having trouble walking, and he's fighting and coming back. But sometimes all we can provide is a little bit of encouragement. So I let the players know, hey man, if you couldn't play tomorrow, and the doctor said you can't play for the next 2 years at least, it's going to change your attitude, and that's a tough thing to accept as a kid, knowing the course of your life and your actions are stripped away from you through sickness or injury. So, yep, it's teaching kids to, that 1/18/24, take advantage, rejoice and be glad in today and having that opportunity.
Yeah, and be present too. That's hard for kids now. That's hard for everybody. That's hard for me.
Yeah. I mean,
that's tough.
You got everything in front of you. At your fingertips.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine having social media when you were growing up and playing?
Oh God, I couldn't.
I couldn't. When we played, you compared yourself to your friends in the backyard and some kids you played against in high school. But that was it. You didn't. Your view wasn't any broader than that.
Right.
now kids will go on Twitter or X or whatever and like compare themselves. You can look at everybody
Right.
in the whole country, in the whole world.
Yep.
When you're in the backyard, you didn't know how good you were. Like I said earlier, there's no ceiling.
Yeah.
Now, there's kids who have a cool highlight reel who think they're better than they are. It's a little flip. You have a good reel that goes viral of one move,
Right.
but doesn't show complete athlete
Your
or
low
complete
lights.
person.
Got to see your low lights
Right,
too.
but that's
Nobody posts those.
all that's fake on social. You're seeing somebody's 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But, that's what they're looking at all the time.
Yeah.
How's his social media presence?
How-
What does that even mean? Like, what?
How are you with that with your daughter growing up? Because we're extreme right now. Like, we won't even post a picture of our daughter online. I just don't want to fucking create a digital the footprint of her. Yeah, but how are you with media and social media with her growing up?
We've given her freedom. She's like the rest of us, addicted, to her phone. But I don't know if it's all, the social media in terms of trying to showcase herself, and she doesn't really spend a lot of time with that. I don't see her Snapchat account, and I don't really understand Snapchat.
Yeah, that's where I age out, is that Snapchat.
I'm aged out, and so I don't know what what she does there. But I know from a standpoint from showcasing her lacrosse abilities, she wanted to get a sports recruit profile and send out, the little a few game clips and.
But I think that can be really good when you're using it in that way.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if you could teach kids how to use it productively, like I'm giving kids ideas of like, that want to start a podcast or start a blog or start something. I'm like, use your Twitter, use your Instagram.
Yep.
Like start posting stuff on there. Eventually you're going to get good at it. Your first one's probably going to suck.
Yeah.
But guess what? You keep practicing it, you're going to probably get good at it.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't run any of your accounts. You have other people that do that?
No,
Social
I
media? You run them.
my personal account. We have people that help. Hometown does a lot of my stuff. But it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah, it's a necessary thing. It stresses me out sometimes, just the weight of like, I got to stay prominent on here.
Right.
People are going to Google you and like something's got to pop up that entices them.
Yeah, it's true. Got to stay in the, spotlight, so to speak. You can, broadcast yourself and show yourself. That's what I do. I show what I do and what I'm doing and where I am and who I'm with, type thing. So it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable to me, and it kind of documents, the path that I'm on.
Right. Yeah, and talking about only comparing yourself to the kids in your backyard, did you have other guys that came out of your backyard games that went on to play at high levels?
Yeah, so we had a neighbor. His name was Casey Clements, and he was kind of the soft kid in the neighborhood. We'd play tackle football, and he'd get tackled too hard and cry and go home. And we'd be playing baseball at the park, and he'd get hit by a pitch and cry and go home. And we'd play basketball. He'd get fouled too hard and cry and go home. Well, when we discovered lacrosse, he came over and he's like peeking over the fence, and he's like, guys, can I play? I'm like, nope, sorry, this is for warriors. This is invited by Native Americans. You need to be a warrior to play this game. I don't think this is cut out for you. And he left, and the next day he came back. Guys, can I play? Sorry, it's for warriors. Finally, like a week later, like, wait a minute, we need a goalie. So he came over the next time. We're like, yeah, no, we want you to play now. We think you're ready for this and ready to be a warrior.
He became target practice.
He became target practice, yeah. But he went on to play at our high school. But yeah, two blocks down, we had the Kaufman brothers, and Jason Kaufman's still the all-time leading scorer in collegiate history. So he's 2 years older than me, and Jason and myself Jason would always pick the teams. He was the oldest. He'd pick me, and he'd play against my brother Ryan and brother Josh, and then Mike would kind of be like the third man in there, and my brother Mike would play for both teams. But yeah, he became an unbelievable lacrosse player, unbelievable goal-scoring machine, and kind of our backyard practice partner. He was a wicked competitor, too. Joe Selesky played at UPenn, who was my next-door neighbor, and this guy named Pat Gagnon was a really fast player, played at Herkimer Community College. Yeah, we're the start of a long lacrosse. We're a lacrosse town now, so we started something really cool. Coach Venaquatro nurtured it all those years. And it's definitely a lacrosse town. We passed through there last week. I brought my daughter. There's a sign out front that says home of the Powell brothers and the Kaufman brothers. And
that has to be crazy to see, right?
it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, we're kind of a big deal up there. but it's neat. So it's from what we discovered, and my dad sold one of his shotguns, and then the bevy of players that kind of just showed up in our backyard.
That's such an upstate New York thing.
My dad sold a shotgun, bought us 3 lacrosse sticks,
3 full scholarships.
flipped the picnic table over, made it a goal.
Yeah, it's a pretty good investment. 3 full scholarships for one shot.
Yeah, we all got it.
Not a bad investment there.
Yeah, my dad's like, the best investment I ever made.
Is the high school coach still there?
No, but he's still coaching. He's down in Florida now, helping his boys out. But,
Okay.
Yep, kind of got tired of it, but had over 300 or 400 wins when it was all said and done, and he was a master of getting us fired up. And
Needed some warmer weather too.
yeah, needs some more weather.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Smartened
Well,
up.
that's so cool that Carthage, literally got put on the map, and now is almost like a destination. If you're in the area of upstate New York, you have to go see the elementary school and see the wall that literally built Powell Lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's almost like if you find a freshwater stream, drink the water, because who knows what could happen.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a magical place. It's like, I know you don't know baseball history very much, but Admiral Doubleday's house is right in Boston Spa, who invented baseball. So if you're a baseball guy, you come through, you have to stop by Admiral Doubleday's house. It's like Carthage. If you're anywhere near it, you go. And like I said, if there's some natural spring there or something, I'm drinking the water. Who knows what could happen?
Yeah, there's something about that though. Like you were just with your friends playing. There's this book called The Talent Code, and this guy's. Do you know the book?
Yeah. It's
They
good.
talk about there's a tennis school in I think it's some Eastern European country, but if you look at this time period, an insane amount of professional women's tennis players came out of there, and it was just like this environment that was created, and they knew nothing other than they were just playing tennis together.
Right.
But the environment just kind of promoted
Yeah,
growth,
the formula.
the formula.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
it's
book.
hard. It's hard to replicate the formula. I think that's what everybody. That's what we're doing here at this gym. We're trying to, find the right formula for success for the athletes that walk through these doors.
Yeah,
that's
isn't
what I
that-
try to do
They're
on
not
the
all
field.
the same.
No.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just like when you write a workout program. It's all individualized. You got to look at the kid. How do I get that kid to click with what I'm saying and understand what I'm saying, and then get them to also be like, this is what I need to do. Not, all right, thanks, coach. And then everything goes out the door.
Right. All right, Casey. I guess if you're evaluating, let's just say, how old are these kids at your camp now? These are middle schoolers, right?
Yep.
So you're looking at a middle schooler who's been probably playing for a little bit, and maybe they're just starting to get more serious with the sport. What are a couple foundations or key things you're looking at? Like, can you do this well?
Well, I look at their stick skills. You can tell how much time they put into the game, and then I kind of look at the intangibles of their effort. I've had players that start in high school. Some players have started even in college and have had a great deal of success. But it's their effort that gets them there. So, I'm evaluating the players this week at my camp. They each go home with a evaluation, and there's a ball that went out on the end line the other day, and 2 players were competing to see who was closest, and nobody dove, and I would have dove, and that would have separated myself. And with being evaluated, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for guys that are willing to do something a little bit more than the guys around them, and those are the guys that turn out to be successful. So, a training focus, a backyard regiment, but they got to have that stick in their hand. They got to have the want.
Yeah.
When you said the diving thing, I remember I was watching a college lacrosse game. I think it was in the Final Four, and I'm still learning the rules of the game. And when the first lacrosse game I ever saw was from watching girls from in here, and I see the guys literally running and then just diving, because the ball, whoever gets closest to, they get the ball, and that's a perfect example of okay, this is an in-game thing, but it's also show me your
Show me you're competitive.
show me you're competitive.
Exactly.
We had on a couple podcasts ago this guy Mike McFerrin. He's head of the Wake Forest pitching lab. So he's a big analytics guy, analyzing movement and how they throw the baseball. But he talked about how kids nowadays sometimes work too much on their skills and they don't compete enough.
And competing is a skill.
And that is the ultimate skill.
Yeah,
Do you feel
yeah.
like that with lacrosse?
Big time. There's a guy named John Zilberti who passed away recently, but he made a game of everything. You know,
there's some crazy names. First of all, like some of the names you've been saying, I could never repeat.
What was your gym teacher's name?
Kirk Venti Quattro.
Yeah, like I can't say these names.
Let alone spell it. But yeah, when I play catch, I'm competing. I'm trying to put the ball on the money, trying to put it right at a stick. If I don't hit that target area in my head, I lost that rep. So I'm trying to win reps, trying to get the ball in and out of my stick as quickly as I possibly can. If I'm doing line drills, I try to beat the guy in front of me to the end of the line. Sometimes I beat him there, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm there. I'm like, "No, you were. I just passed you." You know, and that kind of becomes part of the culture of, you know, everybody trying to push the tempo and giving a little bit more.
Yeah, that becomes. I was never the best athlete, just my size and my skills. But at some point, I realized, like, if I want to keep playing, I have to bust my balls and hustle and put in effort. And it carries you so far in your career. But then for me and us in here, it then shifts over into life after sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in the business world, I'm sure you're the same way. It's like, I know like fucking like Gary V hustle culture is like a big thing. And it fucking drives me crazy. Does it drive you crazy, Rob?
A little bit. It's a little much.
I know he's a Jets guy, but it gets a little much for me. But there is truth to, like, you got to put in more work than other people.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be successful, it comes down to that.
No doubt. I share this story at my camps, and when I finished at Syracuse, I set the all-time scoring record. And 2 years later, I was out playing pro. My brother Ryan was now a senior, and I went to pick him up for Christmas break. I was living in Rochester, New York. I went to pick him up at Syracuse, walked into his dorm, and he had a big 96 in marker written on his wall. I was like, "Ryan, what's 96? He goes, "That's how many points I need to tie your all-time record." And the most points I ever scored was 83 in a season. 104 was the NCAA record in a season, so 96 was a lofty goal. Well, I pick him up. We drive back to our hometown in Carthage, and I get out like, "Hey, I'm going over to Ashley's. We're going to go drink some beer. Want to come hang out?" Like, "No, I'm on a mission." I'm like, "Okay." I get back that night, and he's out in the snow playing wall ball with mittens on. I wake up the next day. He's running snowbanks, playing basketball in the afternoon, getting a lift in, doing more wall ball with mittens, and this carried on. And I was going out and hanging out with my friends, and he was fully committed to his mission. And he gets back to Syracuse, and when you get back to school in the spring, you get 2 weeks before the season starts and get assimilated with your classes and stuff. And his buddy's like, "Hey, we're going to a party. You want to come?" He goes, "No, I'm on a mission." And they'd get back from the bars, and they look out on the turf at 2 a.m, and he was there with a bucket of balls, just shooting around. They'd wake up the next morning, and he was running bleachers. And they finally, after a few days, said, "Hey, our captain, Ryan's sacrifice, he's dedicated to this. Like, let's stop partying. Let's start joining him on the turf. Let's start running stairs." Fast forward, Memorial Day, national championship with 17 seconds left. He scored his 96 point.
Wow.
And he ran off the field. They won a 13-9 victory over Virginia, national champion. He was the national player of the year, and we finished as tied as the all-time record. And I think of that all the time in my life, and I tell it because that's what it takes. It takes, everything you got. If you want those big lofty goals, you can get through, and you can, do things average. But if you want greatness, if you want to do something really special, then you got to give it all you got.
Yeah, it would have been weird if it was 69 on his wall and not 96.
That's what you got out of that whole story.
No, I got more than that.
Chills. I'm ready to run through the wall right now.
I got more of like
jacked up.
If you look through it at a mirror.
If he had gotten 97, though, like
I know.
Casey might have had to suit back up to get another point.
That also was a lofty goal as well.
Yeah.
No, I got some goosebumps too, but my
brother Mike beat the record 4 years after that.
So what do you guys all? What's the age?
1, 2, and 2. So I'm the oldest, and then Ryan's 2 years younger than me. Mike's 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you and Ryan played together then?
Yeah, for 2 years. Yep.
How cool was that?
Oh, it's awesome. And the three of us played on the USA national team in 2006. So
That's really cool.
That was my greatest moment. 20 players are selected from the U.S. and we're playing Canada in the gold medal game, and I look to my right and left, and it's my brothers out there with me, just like the backyard. So it was that was my greatest lacrosse moment.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like a movie moment right there.
Yeah.
Imagine what was parents thinking, right? Like, how incredible.
You're literally watching Team USA, and 3 kids are out there, and
Hoping
you're like,
that time would just go so slowly so you can just enjoy that one game.
Yeah.
What an incredible gift.
Yeah.
Right? It's worth, the shotgun, stealing your mother's flower to make a crease in the backyard.
Yeah.
Like, all those things I'm sure rush back into their head.
But that's how you make. That's how you mark the lines in the yard with flowers.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, we'd mow the dirt because we ran out of grass, but we'd still mow it. But my dad, big tough guy, right? Worked in a paper mill. Like I said, he never said anything. But then now when we bring it up, anything, he just starts bawling. Oh man, what a great time! So now he's a big teddy bear over
softy
it.
over there.
Yeah, big softy.
Well, he became a grandfather and all that. You know, that changes that.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
changes, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's crazy, man. Did you play other sports growing up?
I wrestled, Pee-wee wrestled. Then I got beat by a girl named Nikki Tanner. I was like, let me try something else. Still remember her. But I played baseball growing up, which I loved. I loved playing baseball. And then in high school, I played soccer goalie in middle school, and then I switched to football and played quarterback, and I played point guard on the basketball team. We were good at basketball. We were 20-2, both my junior and senior year. Made it to the state semis. In football, we were kind of average, but I was an option quarterback. I loved playing football. And I actually, my senior year in the fall, I played an exceptional seniors football game in the Dome. I threw 4 interceptions, but I was still the offensive MVP. We had like 6 plays. I had like 5 or 6 touchdowns. And that's when Coach Simmons came in after the game. He's like, I'd like to offer you a full scholarship. It's like, I'm coming.
How much do you feel like that helped with your lacrosse game, playing quarterback, playing basketball?
No, like without question, like the decision making, the leadership, the toughness of football. Making a play happen when you need one type thing, and the kind of thinking about it. So, I wasn't a good shooter in basketball, and so I made up for it with my passing abilities and my tenacity on defense, and I tried to hustle as much as I can. So, my decision making and ball control from football, and then my adapt to a role opposite of really what I was in lacrosse. I started to take pride in assists, and I tried to take pride in my hustle plays. Again, like the competitive side, trying to make a competition of what I do out there. It all helped me become the player that I was. Well-rounded and a passer, a scorer. Good decision making, and learning to go hard.
Well, it allowed you to learn how to continue to play the game the right way.
Yep.
Because it gave you, like you said, that different perspective of like, okay, basketball, I'm not the best.
Right.
But I can still impact the game.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I get a kid in here, a lot of times I'll ask them, I'll use lacrosse since we're talking about lacrosse. I'll ask them how they did over the weekend for a lacrosse tournament. They'll tell me their goals and all this. I'm like, how many assists you have?
Yeah.
That's the first question I'll ask them. And then the next time I'll tell them, like, I want to know how many assists you have next time you go out there.
Yeah.
Because I just want to know. Like, goals are great.
Yeah.
You got to score to win.
Right.
But if you get an assist, that means you scored too.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to know, like, how are you helping other people get better too? And that's just like little things that they may not get because of they're specializing too early or whatever it is.
Yeah. What if? You're promoting playing multiple sports then with kids.
Oh yeah. Everybody makes an excuse now. Oh, you can't these days. You got to focus. I don't buy that. Kids don't know how to play other sports because they, don't have that backyard. Like I learned baseball playing down at the schoolyard. I played football playing tackle out back. Against the bigger kids and getting the crap kicked out of you.
Yep.
Rob, do you feel like you've been in the education system for a while? Do you feel like it is harder now in 2023 than when you first started teaching and coaching to be a multi-sport athlete, or no?
I don't think it's harder to be. I just think that there's less. There's more specialization. It's just one sport.
Right.
And I've talked about my personal philosophy. I think it hurts athletes. Go play other sports.
Yeah.
I mean,
the lessons you get, stick with lacrosse. The lessons you get from basketball for lacrosse, it's so related. It's ridiculous. It's the same thing. And so you're putting the stick down for a little bit, but you're still gaining all the knowledge.
Right.
You're getting all the work.
Well,
and we're seeing more time in weight rooms and less time on courts and fields. And I think it hurts the kids.
I think the weight room thing, this is how I make a living. I think it's really important, but I rather have a kid lift once or twice a week throughout the whole year than try to gun in like 3 to 5 sessions a week. I feel like it's the same as with sports. You're competing less because you're obviously in here more, which is important to keep your body healthy and improve your performance. But then you have the burnout component as well, just like you would with a sport.
And what's going to happen in here is when they get tired after, they're coming in 3 times a week. Are they lifting correctly? Are they really giving it their all?
Yes.
When they can focus on one, come in here for an hour and a half,
And
bust
crush
your
it.
ass, you'll get more out of it than doing things 3 times, but with less effort.
Well, and didn't you say earlier that lacrosse is a combination of all sports? Mm-hmm. So why not play different sports? Because it's a combination of all sports. You need a little bit of everything.
No
And,
doubt.
burnout is huge, but different teams, different people, different faces, different voices, different leaderships.
I was actually talking to somebody, one of our newer adult clients. She was a high-level basketball player and was going to play in college. I don't remember if she said she did or not, but she's like, I had my modified coach, or my middle school coach was my AAU coach. He then became my JV coach. He then became my varsity coach. It was the same voice that she heard for, I think she said 8 years. She's like, I was just burnt out. She's like, I wasn't going to the WNBA. And I was like, you probably weren't going to make a lot of money at that time in the WNBA either. And she's like, I just didn't want to play. I was burnt out. And it's when you hear the same voice over and over again that can cause that.
Yeah.
What was the path after college for you in terms of going into professional lacrosse?
Yeah, that was difficult for me because when I was a kid, you have dreams, and my dream was to play lacrosse at Syracuse University and win a national championship, and I did. I fulfilled my dream, and I graduated. I was like, I did it. I just did it. And then, pro lacrosse kind of started, and I got drafted to play indoor lacrosse and wasn't into it.
Which is what, box?
Yeah, box lacrosse, yep. So I was playing down in Rochester, but I wouldn't go to practice. I had a couple endorsement deals, so it was the first time I ever had money, and I was traveling and just having a great time celebrating my college lacrosse career. And then they started another pro league, and slowly kind of got into it. But it was a difficult start because I didn't have that in my dream path, So I had to kind of regroup, grow up, and then have some bigger goals. So, but I played for 18 seasons, almost 30 weekends a year. I was traveling into different cities around North America, playing on Friday, flying in Friday, playing Saturday, and flying home Sunday for a long time. So it was a big sacrifice. Missed a lot of weddings, a lot of family reunions, barbecues with friends. So I gave up a lot for it, but it's what I wanted to do, and it was a really fun journey.
This episode of Off Exit 10 is brought to you by Drink Alchemy. Fatigue and brain fog affect us all, destroying everything we pursue. Whether as an athlete, artist, creator, or entrepreneur, our mind holds the key to performing optimally. By combining the most potent organic nootropics found in nature, Drink Alchemy delivers sustainable boost to creativity, memory, energy, and focus in one epic beverage. Stop pumping your body full of excessive amounts of caffeine and unknown proprietary blends from other energy drinks, and get clean energy from Drink Alchemy's natural nootropics like lion's mane, L-theanine, and caffeine from green tea. Used by Olympians, D1 athletes, MMA fighters, and entrepreneurs, Drink Alchemy has become a huge part of my daily routine, making sure I'm functioning optimally during long days of coaching athletes, running CDSF, and getting in quality workouts myself. So do yourself a favor and ditch the energy drinks loaded with caffeine, other stimulants, and who knows what else, and head over to drinkalchemy.com today. Live with your mind unbound and save 10% off your order by using code CDSF at checkout. That's drinkalchemy.com, promo code CDSF for 10% off your order today. Has the sport grown a lot in terms of audience size professionally now versus when you started playing?
Not really. The crowds, I think, when you're watching some of these pro leagues, it's basically the same crowds that we had. There's definitely more players. There's more awareness of the sport. I think lacrosse is starting to become more mainstream.
Yeah, where's the disconnect then? Because we see more and more kids playing and being into the sport.
Yeah, I think, in the summer when the pro leagues are playing, the kids are playing too. So they're not sitting on their butt, with nothing to do. They're actually playing on a lacrosse field for 6 hours that day. So parents, are making decisions still to enhance their kids' ability, and kind of pro lacrosse, I think, is an afterthought.
I mean, is it hard to break and compete with the NFL and the MLB and the NBA? I mean, those are big, giant money machines.
Yeah, no doubt. I think so. But we're starting to get some, momentum. I like the sport where it is right now. I don't, see it as a benefit being completely mainstream. I like the added awareness. But I like our intimate setting and our intimate community. So I like where the sport's at, and it's still small enough where we can all enjoy it, and it's not a runaway train at the moment.
Right.
It's definitely growing though, because I have ESPN Plus and all that, and that's where I watch a lot of I'll watch a lot of lacrosse on there, because a lot of times I'd rather watch a lacrosse game at this point, because I'm like, wow, baseball's kind of boring. I'm going to watch lacrosse.
Right.
And the Yankees suck, so I also don't want to watch that.
Up there with that. But I'm 47, and I see so many dads now that are like, in their 30s and 40s. Hey man, I went to your lacrosse camp, or I grew up watching you play, and now they have kids, and now those kids know more about the game than the dads did before them. So they're learning the game. So we're in this kind of transitional kind of flip-flop of dads who are newer to the game, or first-generation players who are now passing the game along to their sons. So I think we're going to see a real massive growth in the next 10 to 15 years.
I love that you said you liked where it is now. You don't really hear ambassadors of the sport kind of not settle, but be at peace to where their sport is. And I love that you said keep it intimate, because that's, we go back to the origins of the game. And, there's no sport I can think of where, there's 5 of us in a room with one dude who's like one of the best to ever pick up a stick. You can relate it to Jordan or Jeter or whoever other sports, but you can see them at a lacrosse tournament and walking across to go get a lemonade and high five and knows my names and things like that. Like, when you said you're happy to keep it intimate, is really cool to hear, because no other sport has that connection with their heroes. And we have dads come to camps to bring their sons and daughters to camps, and they're just kind of like hanging back, like, hey Casey, how's it going? And they have time to chat. Oh, this and that. Oh, you're from this and whatever. Like, no other sport has it, and that's really cool to hear from a fan and a dad and a coach of the sport that the awareness is out there, but let's keep it a tight-knit family group.
Yeah, keep it special.
Well, it's
I
funny.
wish those dads would at least buy me that lemonade, Jeez.
It's funny, we have an intern in here, and he asked us who was on the podcast today, and I was like, Casey Powell's on the podcast, and he's a baseball player that knows nothing about lacrosse, so he wasn't really sure. He's like, who's Casey Powell? I was like, you have any lacrosse friends? He's like, yeah, one of my best friends plays lacrosse. I was like, text him, ask him who Casey Powell is. Texted him, I was like, did he respond? He's like, yeah, he knows who he is. I was like, if they play lacrosse, they know who Casey Powell is.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I think our popularity hasn't really wavered. And it's, I think a lot of it's because of our company, and a lot of it's because of a video game that I endorse. I did a clinic down in Harlem a couple months ago, and they read off my accolades, and all the kids down there, inner city kids, they didn't say a word. Then one kid in the back's like, "Oh shit, man, that's a guy from the video game." And I'm like, "Oh shit, man!" They kind of went nuts. So that's the kids. The dads seem to know me as a player, and the kids know me more as an ambassador or the video game guy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, though.
Because you had 2 versions of it, right?
Yeah, we got a third coming out.
Oh, let's go.
Yep.
So
go.
Jordy writes for IGN. It's a video game website. So
Okay,
pump out some press when you're ready to put it out there.
I'll slip him a 50 for a little positive review.
Cut that out, Jay. Were you a video game guy growing up at all?
Yeah,
no?
yeah, Tech Mobile and
It's classic. Tech Mobile.
NHL, Sega. Like, I love
Yeah,
that.
what was your what was your last system that you played on?
God, I don't even know. I mean, I do play my video game on the Xbox here and there. I'm not very good at it, and kids get a kick out of it when they beat me. And I don't know, too many buttons these days.
Just got to button mash or something.
Yeah, Sega was my favorite back in the day. Sega NHL 94.
We were
That was
never
a
a
classic.
Sega family, Jay.
No, but NHL 94 is the one.
That's the
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, NHL 94 was
Jeremy
the one.
Roenick, unstoppable.
I miss the Albany River Rats was like my big hockey I guess like part of my life, or when I watched hockey the most.
What a time to be alive.
You remember those games, Rob?
I never went to.
No
but
way.
I remember the River
It was
Rats,
just
but-
fights, Casey.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
guys just looking to fight.
Right, yeah.
Well, the cool thing though too was, so the River Rats were the Devils AHL team, and I was a Devils fan because of that. And then I'd be watching Devils games, and all of a sudden I'd see like a River Rats player on, like Scott Niedermeyer at one point was on the River Rats, and then he was on the Devils, and I was like, that's the same guy.
Yeah.
It was wild because
Cool.
I'm like, this guy was just playing in Albany.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
I'm 8 years old. Like,
Yeah.
no idea that there's anything besides Albany.
Yep.
If there wasn't lacrosse, what sport would you have continued with?
I honestly feel like if I could skate, I'd be in the Hall of Fame
For
of hockey.
Figure skating.
If I could
Figure
skate,
skating, not
I
hockey.
just know.
That's a big like component of hockey.
Yeah. I know, but I just think that I would have spent a lot of time on the ice, similar to what I was with lacrosse, and I know that my training would have gotten me there and my creativity. So I love hockey. I just can't skate. I played baseball. I felt like I was a good baseball player. My dream in 5th grade was to be the greatest baseball player of all time. That I wrote that in my 5th grade, graduation book. And then that's when lacrosse kind of transformed, and I had to make a decision of what I was going to do, whether lacrosse or baseball. But I loved baseball. And then football, I got a couple looks from Ithaca College and Springfield, but no major looks there in basketball.
Thank God you didn't go to this.
You're in the room with 3 Cortland guys. So.
I know, yeah.
We will jump you.
Yeah. So if I didn't discover lacrosse, I probably would end up playing football at Cortland.
There you go.
There
you
we
go.
Yep. What's the Ithaca jug or the Cortica jug?
Cortica jug. It's not the Ithaca jug.
Guys, there's this thing with just like this Cortland connection and thing. What is it? Because you go to Cortland, everybody
They just brainwash you. Like anything else.
It's definitely a thing, though.
Oh, it is, right, Casey?
Yeah,
They
he
brainwash
said
you with
Ithaca,
beer.
and I just kind of twitched a little bit just because.
I get like mad when people say Ithaca. Like, it just makes me feel like
all 3 of you, Jordan, Paul, Rob, all went to Cortland. You're all you're different types of people, but you're like fucking Cortland, right?
Let's jump this guy.
Yeah, Cortland. Definitely they do it right there as far as the college town goes. They
It's what the sports, the partying.
It just gives you a college environment. Like for me, like I always tell kids, I'm like, I just got the college experience. Like even without going to a big school, like it felt like I got.
I coached there for a year. I volunteer assisted right after I graduated for a guy named Steve Bevel, and we were there for a couple cool things happened. The first one, it was a team meeting, and he brought the team in, and he goes, "Hey everybody, I'm Coach Bevel here. If you ever get in trouble around campus, run." Run as fast as you can, and if you get caught by one of these security guards, maybe you shouldn't be a college athlete. He's like, if you do get caught, I'm your first call. And then they won the national championship the year prior, and it was the first day of wall ball. And I just remember I was like, all right, I'm gonna try coaching out here. And we showed up. It was at night. It was like 8 p.m. at night, and practice was 8 to 10 or something. And we show up at 7:30, and the entire team was in the middle, like jumping up and down, going nuts. They had already beat the coaching staff to the field, and they were ripping and ready to go. And I was like, "Let's go, baby!" So it was pretty cool.
When was this? What year was that?
Must have been right around 2000.
Okay,
2001.
Was that your first time coaching?
Yeah. Yep.
I was trying to figure out if it was any time during when I was there. Would have been pretty cool.
You ever go to what's the bar, the popular one?
Dark Horse.
The Dark Horse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Frank.
Frank the Tank.
Rob, did you know Frank?
No comment.
He is Frank.
The Dark Horse is a restaurant anyway. It's just a restaurant.
It's a high class restaurant with 2 floors and booze.
Yeah, but Syracuse, I mean, it's very prestigious as a lacrosse school. And so is, instead of retiring a number, this number 22 gets passed on, yeah?
Yeah, it's really cool. Gary Gate started that number. He was a National Player of the Year a couple times and one of the greatest to ever play.
That's
and
one of the few names I do know.
Gary Gate, yep. And Paul Gate lives here in Albany. His twin brother. But it became the number. It was worn by Gary, 4-time All-American, then Charlie Lockwood, and then I got there and they offered me the jersey, and I accepted because I pretended I was Gary in the backyard. I'd already been number 22 for the past 5 years, so I'm going to take that. But and then my brother Ryan wore it for 2 years. He won a national championship. I told you about the 96, took it off and handed it to my brother in the stands, and then Mike wore it. So Powell's wore it for 10 straight years, and it's a number that stands for tradition and excellence and being the top gun. And right now, one of the top players in the country, Joey Spallina, is wearing it and representing it well, and he's playing summer box lacrosse. I'm sure he's going to have a great season coming up. So I don't know if our records are going to be safe when Joey Spallina's all said and done. He's having a great start to his career, and he continues to fine tune his craft. So, and then Syracuse went to 22 straight Final Fours during that run we were there. So that's an NCAA record in any sport. So our coach, Jim Morrissey talked about it today at camp, one of the coaches that I played with at Syracuse, and it was either national championship or bust. And the fans would book hotels for wherever the championship was the following year, a year in advance, knowing that that's where we were going to be. So we expected to be there, and that's we've talked about the mentality of things. Our mentality was we're going to go win a national championship. So we went in there and we played loose and free, and our goal was to win and to always be there, and we got the job done. I think 10 championships in those 22 years.
That reminds me. I just saw a clip of, forget what year it was, but it was of the Yankees. They had just won the ALCS, and you see the whole team celebrating, and you just see Derek Jeter sitting at the front of the dugout just like this, stone faced, job's not done. We haven't, you guys had that expectation, we're going to get there.
Right.
Now you guys probably still celebrate it a little bit. You're in college, it's going to happen, you know. Yeah. But at the professional level, it's interesting to see that. It's having that mentality of this is the expectation and we're going to get there.
Yep, no doubt.
How is Syracuse now? What's the furthest that they've went in recent years?
They haven't won a championship since 2012, so they're on a skid. But lacrosse has gotten a lot better. The parity and coaching is a big thing now, whereas I think back in my day the top 6 programs got the best players year after year and just kind of kept it going. Now there's so many players that it's stretching the game out, and the impact that other schools are making and making things a lot more competitive. So Syracuse has Gary Gate at the helm now, and hopefully he's going to do some great things. But they had a solid year this year. They're in the ACC, which is the toughest division in lacrosse, so they have their work cut out. But we're hopeful and inspired, and we always say proud of the past and primed for the future. We don't rebuild, we reload. Let's go.
Love it.
Reload.
Notre Dame won this year, right?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up.
I just had to rub it in a little bit. And also know that I paid attention.
What were they in the Big East when you played?
No, we're independent.
Independent.
In lacrosse, yep.
Which means you just create your own schedule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because conferences are always shuffling around now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to it on the radio yesterday and listening to some of the radio hosts talk about how all these conference shifting aren't thinking about the student athlete, because now you have kids that are East Coast schools that are gonna have to go to the West Coast, and what about their classes? What about so now?
Because schools just moved to the Pac-12.
Well, you have schools that are in the Pac-12 that are now in the Big Ten. So now they're playing. USC's playing at Ohio State. And if it's a baseball team,
Stanford and Cal just joined the ACC.
Yeah. So
what is this? Just financial agreements? That's why we're shifting
football
around?
money, right?
Football.
Right.
It's all related to football more than anything. A little bit of basketball, but mostly football. It has to do with the Power 5 conferences getting all the money for football.
I struggle listening to sports talk, man. You were a broadcaster for a while.
I've done some.
You've done some.
I wouldn't call myself a broadcaster.
Yeah.
I've done some guest broadcasting.
Yeah. I feel like that would be fun. Did you see the thing this week about, I think it was the Baltimore Orioles announcer got fired. Suspended for just reading statistics about the team being bad?
When they were terrible and now they're good.
Did you see this, Casey?
No.
Jordy, find it?
Just look up Orioles.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
I want to hear what he said, because I just
he
read
doesn't
about
say
it.
anything bad.
Oh, he just reads off their record against the Rays from the past 2 years, and it's like they
Bad.
sucked.
And he got
They lost 16 straight series against them.
yeah, something
and
like
he got
that.
suspended for that.
Yeah,
Well, for spewing the truth.
Like he said nothing bad.
No, yeah.
yeah, it's just thin-skinned ownership.
Pull up
pathetic.
so I can just hear a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I literally listened to it 4 times. I was like, what did he say? And he didn't say anything. And then I started reading the comments on it, and I was like, that's ridiculous. That's crazy.
Wow.
Did you see this?
It's not his
Rob?
fault the Orioles were terrible for
It's only
ever.
going to make me upset.
Why? Because he's going to get suspended for what you're about to hear.
And it brings it back to
The coaching.
coaching being themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
We imagine say, hey, we didn't have the best year last year. We lost every home game. Let's be better and get in trouble for that. Joe Buck has said.
Joe Buck should be suspended just for showing up.
Why do people not like Joe Buck?
I don't know.
I just don't
it's
like
Joe
him.
Buck.
I just don't like him. I can listen to him for baseball. Football, I'm you don't know what you're talking about. Just stop.
Yeah. Who were, so obviously Gary Gate, who were other sports guys that you idolized growing up?
Larry Bird, He's my
Larry
guy.
Legend. Let's go.
Love Larry Bird.
I hate the Celtics, but he's the man.
If I could have dinner with one guy, it'd be Larry Bird. Shoot some hoop with him and put a stick in his hands. Yeah, I loved Bobby Hurley. I loved Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Wade Boggs, Kirby Puckett. Dennis Oilcan Boyd. I don't know. I liked I loved baseball.
It's a lot of Boston guys right there.
Yeah, my aunt was the manager of the Logan Hilton, so we were brainwashed from early on. We'd get autographs and Red Sox gear and all that kind of stuff. Never liked the Bruins or the Patriots, but the Celtics and the Red Sox. But yeah, those are some of the guys.
Yeah, Wade Boggs is a legend.
Yeah,
Hurley's a good one.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me when you said, you'd be in the Hall of Fame if you could skate, but
Yeah. Why? Now, the guys, I've had to learn this over the years. The guys and the girls game is very different in lacrosse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so?
I wish it wasn't. That's one thing I don't like about the sport is so many different styles and so many different rule changes all the time. And, I'd love to see it as one sport like most others are. Girls and boys play hockey similar and basketball similar and soccer similar. Why not do lacrosse? So anytime I bring it up, though, of, padding and protecting the girls, all the traditional lacrosse people are like, you're trying to ruin our game. No, I'm just trying to, play. I know the game and I play a lot of different styles and I enjoy watching and playing. And I think that there's certain styles that are better than others. So I think some of the rules of girls lacrosse deter the abilities of the girls. And
Give me an example of that. They can't hit like the guys can hit.
Yeah, they can't hit. They don't wear equipment. They say you can't cross check, but everybody cross checks.
you can't shoot from a certain distance.
Yeah,
too,
they
right?
stop they whistle, little minor fouls and give free shots, and I don't like that aspect of the game. I love like the man up opportunities and moving the ball around. So I'd love to see him play a more similar style. Kind of mesh the two sports together.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, the girls are very talented, and the girls' game is growing at a rapid pace and so fun to watch. And so, but I think their creativity would be unleashed with more padding and protection and a better flow of rule set, like similar to the guys' game or similar to speed lacrosse.
And if you ask the girls, they'd probably say something similar as well.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
most girls that I've talked to that are lacrosse players wish that it was more like boys lacrosse.
Yep. You hear that a lot.
What was the original game? More like the girls or more like the guys' game?
I think I saw some highlights from 1932, some box lacrosse, and somebody put them on social media, and there was no equipment, and there was a fight that broke out, and they're hitting each other with wooden sticks, and so the game used to be like more like girls, I guess, and they've changed the men's game, and they've kind of kept the women's game the same for the most part.
Yeah, I think when I talk to people in here that ask me about it a little, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm like, the contact in boys lacrosse is more like hockey.
Yep.
The contact in girls lacrosse is more like soccer and basketball.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good analogy.
Is this in the guys' game too? Why do girls in college, I've seen, when they score, they got to drop their stick?
Because they got to check the
Check
stick.
their legal limit, which is another
Is that only in the girls' game?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I've never seen a boy do it.
I
now
was
that I think
so
about it.
confused the first time I saw
I
this.
thought it was so arrogant.
I thought it was the coolest celebration
dropping the
when I
mic.
saw a
Like,
girl from here do
like-
it. I was like,
Yeah.
that was freaking awesome. And then she told me that it was because she had to, and I was like, oh, that's less cool now.
Yeah. That's just a ridiculous. That's a ridiculous rule.
So what do
And
they do?
every time I talk about girls and boys lacrosse, the two versions, I always get in trouble because people act like I'm against the girls. No, I just like lacrosse, and I like certain styles better than others. So the girls have a set of rules that I don't love, and I'd like to see them play, like I said, a more free-flowing game.
To only benefit the female lacrosse players, what they want, and the athletes, right? I think the rule changes that you might want to see in the future, potentially, and it's just open discussion, are for the players.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like any sport. You look at any sport that's made rule changes recently that's like a popular sport, whether it's football or baseball. It's like it's all to hopefully make the game better and for the players too.
Yep.
And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you run Powell with your brothers?
Yep. Yeah, so we started, my brother Ryan started Powell Lacrosse Company, and my brother Mike and I are on board, and Mike does the marketing. Ryan runs the company, and I run the events side of things. So my sister's the office manager. My youngest brother Mason helps design uniforms, and you'll see my mom and dad at our selected mobile retail units and tournaments around the East Coast. So it's a family business. We're very proud of it and where we're at with it. And it's really fun to work with my brothers again in that format. Family business is tough. We've had some learning lessons along the way, but we're finally in a good spot currently. And we're staying in our own lane and doing our, what we enjoy and what we're good at. And, trusting in our brothers and partners to do their thing the best that they can do it. So it's in a good spot, but it's a cool company. And I always tell kids, what's the best way to get better at lacrosse? And they're always like, practice. I'm like, well, that's secondary, but first is go to powelllacrosse.com and buy as much stuff as possible. That'll really help your game elevate.
Yeah, in business, as in anything in life, but communication is so important of your roles and your tasks and what you're doing. Yeah, I feel like with family, that just adds another layer to it.
Yeah, we're sensitive, we're sensitive around the fam. And, we used to, when we get mad at each other, we just don't talk to each other type thing. But now it's like we're adult enough where we're like, hey, we haven't talked in a day. We got to talk, So like you said, it's about communicating and getting on the same page. And you always feel better usually after a quick chat.
Yeah. I mean, probably my favorite piece about this podcast is doing it with Jordy. It's like you're doing stuff growing up, making up games, playing in the backyard, and then to continue that kind of spirit and camaraderie in a professional manner.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
No doubt.
As a consumer, how cool is it to know it's coming from a family? It's not off a big box store.
Well, it's like the intimacy of lacrosse.
It's like there's history behind it. There's blood, sweat, and tears into every product from this family business.
Yeah.
How much do you have to learn about, manufacturing and all? That's a whole nother world.
Yeah, so I stay in my lane.
Yeah.
I stay in my lane. If you want to ask that question, my brother Ryan, I'm sure he'd come on the podcast. But he does a lot of that. My brother Mike has now been assisting and managing the brand in terms of what goes out and what we present and trying to be the best at everything that we can be and not to release crappy products or crappy images. And, the manufacturing is a difficult, time consuming. You have to, pre-order a lot of stuff from China. Building a mold for $75,000 to $100,000 is very stressful if the stick happens to be a dud. Luckily, we have great head designs. But, in the past, I've worked for other companies, and we've had some heads that don't produce and are funky in design and have failed. So it's a big, big loss, to your company. So there's a lot that goes into it. But we do uniforms, and we're really excited about the future of that. And our goal has always been to be the number one stick maker in the world. And we're actively trying to be the best we can be at that. And that we want that to be our forefront. And then I run the events, and we got some really cool retreats coming up. So Jamaica and Boulder, Colorado, Delray Beach, Florida, Ibiza, Spain. Next hometown, you better be in for that one. Get your passport renewed.
You want hometown in Spain?
Yeah.
I can see, yeah.
Me gusta.
See.
Let's go. Vámonos.
So, and we do camps and clinics and training all over the place. So it's a lot of fun. Lax's life with me. I'm all around it all the time. I even took my daughter I was like, hey, you want to go to Vail, Colorado? Yeah. I'm like, we'll go hiking and biking and horseback riding. She's like, okay. So I take her there, and I didn't tell her there's a men's lacrosse tournament going on, but we land, and all the guys have their lacrosse bags. She's like, Dad, you didn't tell me. I was like, well, we're still going to do that stuff. And then I just remember she, after like the third game, we're all sore. We're sitting in the Boulder Creek up there and drinking a beer in our underwear, and, icing our legs down. And she's like standing on the bridge. She's like, all you do is play lacrosse and drink beer. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, it's got a good gig. It's a good gig.
It's not a bad life,
No, not a bad two things. But yeah, just, working last year's camp with you and yesterday, it's just, you can tell you have a passion for the game, and you want to do right by the kids and kind of teach them how to be present and enjoy it and develop a good work ethic and do it the right way.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main goal, and we love having Capital District over and getting us going, starting the camp off, and excited to have you guys come, help progress our kids, elevate our kids, optimize their performance tomorrow at our final day of camp at the Pipeline.
Yeah, man.
It's a fun time. I texted Rob last night. I felt the assistant coaches, the college kids you have working are all monsters. I felt so little next to all those guys. Oh my God. Rob texted me, the parents were asking questions about you and what you do. I said, that's the wrong question. You got to be asking what these parents are feeding all these college kids. That's what they need to know.
What's the college feeding them?
Yeah.
Go to that dining hall.
We have a good staff, and it's good for the young athletes to see kids from local high schools that are now playing Division I, Division II lacrosse and fit. Right, it's a good role model.
Yep.
So we're happy to have a good staff here in Saratoga for the camp, and thank you again for you guys for coming. And it just adds to it. And I think every year at camps around here and all over the place that they're getting better and better because the right people are involved.
I'm showing up in a tank top tomorrow if these kids are that big. That's all I know.
They're big.
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
They're big. They're big boys.
Spray tan first, though.
I got tattoos, all right? We'll be all right.
Oh, no, Casey, man, I appreciate you doing this. I'm coming on.
Yeah, fun chatting. We got to do it again sometime. So
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
I'm sure we'll do a part 2.
Jordy over there in the booth. Thanks, brother.
Look at Jordy in the booth. He's good over there, right?
He is. Yep. Staying in his lane.
Yeah, man.
He's staying in his lane.
Yeah, young Jordy's nice on the production. Just plug whatever you want now in terms of Powell Lacrosse and World Lacrosse Foundation and where to find you.
Yeah, just very excited about the future of Powell Lacrosse and my foundation. The World Lacrosse Foundation does great things for a lot of families, and we're always looking for extra help. And we always try to tell the kids to play for something bigger. For that, Speed Lacrosse is a modified version of the game that's sweeping across the world. They're playing it in Japan and France and different parts of the country. So it's like a backyard version of the game that is something I believe in that captures the true essence of the game. And I think it's needed in our sport. So that's all those things I'm a big part of and having a ton of fun. And I'm thankful to be around great people all the time throughout the summer. And last night I was at OAR and the Goo Goo Dolls down there at SPAC, and I get to travel around and have a lot of fun, at my camps, and it's something I truly enjoy. So thanks for having me on, and thanks again for helping with the camp. And you guys do a great job here. This is a wonderful looking gym, and I'm almost motivated to work out, but I got a meeting with Hometown, coaches meeting.
Yeah, man, no, we appreciate you, Casey, and I'm sure we'll do it again, and we'll rock a good camp tomorrow, and we'll catch everybody next time. Thank you.
Thank you.